but I'll go ahead and get us started here. We got about 5 after the hour. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our Financial Foundation series. So You Want to Buy a House is our first installment in it. And we just wanted to put together some information or whether a quick seminar on on just some financial foundation principles in terms of things needed in order to put together a strong wealth generating portfolio for people either starting out or in the mix of putting a new portfolio together and just getting their finances and their wealth put together properly. And I thought it very fitting to start with real estate. Just historically, data has showed us that real estate is a part of some of the biggest wealth generators, whether it be commercial, residential. A strong wealth portfolio starts, or maybe not necessarily starts, but definitely has a pivotal placement or allocation towards real estate. So we wanted to kind of go through that process in terms of what that looks like getting started in the home buying process, whether you're a first time buyer or a second time buyer going from renting to buying. I wanted to put together a panel of some of my esteemed colleagues to kind of walk you through what their process looks like. And so I'm joined by three phenomenal people here. We have Mr. Chris Perry, Mr. Kenneth Baker, and Ms. Tina Adams, and I'll get a little bit more into their bios as I introduce them. But most importantly, we just kind of wanted to put a ribbon around how important it is and why it's important to have home ownership be a part of your overall wealth plan. Many studies have been done in my field. As some of you know or may not know, I'm the Vice President of Investment Services at Regions Bank. And a big part of what I do is help people put together wealth plans, estate plans, investment plans. And we always make sure that we spend some time looking at their real estate allocation, their real estate holdings, seeing what they owe on their real estate, any debts, and also what it's worth, and kind of using what we can use that equity in their real estate for. And just historically, kind of going back through at least the last 100 years, a tremendous amount of household wealth has been accrued starting with real estate and home ownership. A lot of people coming back after World War II, a lot of the baby boom generation, a lot of their parents, they purchased homes that were around maybe $5,000 or $6,000 total back in the 50s and the 60s. And a lot of those homes now, just over time and through accrued value, upwards of $1 million or $500,000. And what they ended up doing was using a lot of the equity in those homes to fund businesses, to fund education. So on top of just having an asset worth a tremendous amount of value, they were able to borrow against it or use equity in those assets to take care of other needs. So their children didn't necessarily have to come out of pocket for college, or they didn't necessarily have to go to a bank to get a loan to start their business. They may have had these assets have sometimes tens of thousands or hundred thousands of dollars in them. And they also kind of cement your stake in the community in terms of you're paying taxes in a place. You kind of have a different kind of holding in a place where you're paying real estate and property taxes. And so we want to kind of drive that point home in terms of what owning real estate can do for you, how important it is to have home ownership and getting into that process, just kind of what it looks like, creating an easy process for yourself and all the other parties involved. Not only does home ownership affect you, but it also creates dozens and dozens of jobs, from the builders, the contractors, to the real estate brokers, the lenders, the inspectors. When a house is brought to market and sold, there's a lot of commerce that takes place. So it's a pivotal part of our economy, the buying and the selling of real estate. And we just want to give some information out to make that process seamless as possible. Maybe not everything is perfect, but the more information that you have going into that process, the better that you can make things on yourselves and the people working in tangent with you, and to be encouraged about the process, because sometimes it can seem so overbearing that a lot of people think it might be like too daunting of a task or don't know who to go to with what. So We're confident at the end of this seminar, you'll kind of have some tools and some resources to, if you are in the process of thinking about buying a home, you'll feel a little better, have some more information to help yourself. Or if you're kind of on the fence about it, hopefully we can kind of draw a foundational picture of that process to help you kind of envision that and bring it to fruition or reality for yourself. So that's kind of my initial spiel. So what we're first, we want to start with a pivotal part of purchasing any property. You want to make sure that your property is well maintained, that it works for you, that there's not anything wrong with it, that you're not necessarily buying a lemon, quote unquote. And a big part of that is inspection. And I think it may be something that a lot of people may not realize how critical it is, or just what that process looks like. So the first speaker that we have coming up, he is the owner of I Inspect Home Inspection. Mr. Chris Perry is going to be speaking with us about the inspection process. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mr. Perry.
All right. How's everybody doing? Once again, my name is Chris Perry. I'm with I Inspect Home Inspection Services. And today I want to talk to you about the importance of having a home inspection. And like he was leading into it, home inspection is a very important part of the process. I'm the person that comes in after you and your realtor has gone out and you found the property that you wanted. You made an offer on that property. Well, before you proceed forward with it, it's recommended that you do get a home inspection. And why do you need a home inspection? There are hidden things. There are things that you may or may not be aware of that's going on with the home. Once you've looked at the home, you've looked for a home, let's say 3-4 bedrooms, 2-3 baths in the neighborhood that you want. Well, you want to make sure that that home is sound also. And as far as what the inspector is actually looking for when we're out there looking at the home, we're looking for things like the structure of the home. We inspect the interior, exterior of your home, your roofing, your plumbing, your heating, air conditioning system, insulation. And what I pretty much tell everyone when, because I get that question quite a bit, is, what are you inspecting? Well, the simplest way for me to say that to everyone, because of all the different components of the home, is I just tell them, when you went to look at the home before you made an offer on the home, everything that your eyes saw, we inspect. A typical inspection for me starts before I even get out of the truck. I'm pulling in the driveway. I'm looking at the driveway. I'm looking at the landscaping, how the property is running, the grading of the property. There's quite a bit that, like I said, we're looking at prior to even getting out of the vehicle. And then, like I said, it goes from there. And like I was saying just a moment ago, the different components, the different things we're looking for, like I said, what your eyes have saw, plus things that your eyes have not seen. We crawl into your attic, we crawl up under your house, we get on top of your roof, and we're looking for all the different things when you're that a typical person is not looking for. Let's take your roof, for instance. When you pull up, you look at the roof and you say, oh, it looks good or it doesn't look good. That's the eye that you look at it. Well, from a professional eye, there's more to it than just the look of the shingles themselves. How does that roof flow? Is there anything as far as trees are concerned, tree branches, shrubbery that has grown up, vines? A lot of, for some reason, some people like to have vines growing on their homes, like ivy and things like that. Well, that can cause problems to your home. And like I said, take for instance your tree branches. If we have tree branches that are overhanging, touching the roof, well, at that point, you actually have a liability. And we do insurance, and well, myself, I do insurance inspections as well. And take, for instance, those tree branches. wind gets to blowing, the wind blows those branches, it can scrape your roof, causes damage to your roof. Not only, just when a storm comes and a branch breaks off, but just typical wind blows. It's just sitting there going back and forth and scraping your roof and causing damage to that. So things like that, we'll recommend that you trim those tree branches as well. And I know one of the things that most people are most concerned about is how much does it cost to have a home inspection? Well, what I tell everyone and stuff, do not let cost be a factor on whether you get a home inspection or not. You're making 100,000, 200, 500,000 or above purchase. Do not allow a $300 to $500 inspection prevent you from getting that home inspected. And what I explain to everyone, if you think about it on this level, you hear about recalls on brand new cars, but you don't hear about recalls on brand new homes. But in both situations, both cases, man built the car. He didn't build it perfect. There's a recall on it. Man also built the house. Doesn't make it perfect. So what I tell everyone and stuff is, you don't have those recalls. That's why you want that inspector to come in and find that thing that's not working and is not functioning, not installed properly. Because at the end of the day, we're human beings. Human beings make mistakes. It's not that, the builder may not be a great builder, but hey, we're human beings. Like I said, with the recalls on the car, like I said, with the cost of those and stuff, different inspectors use different criteria that they use as far as giving you a quote for a home inspection. Me personally, I use the age of the home, the location of the home, location meaning if it's outside a certain mile radius. Of course, I have to add mileage to my to the cost. Age of the home, like I said, is a major factor when it comes to doing a home inspection. A home that was built in 2021 will be inspected totally different than a home that was built in 1887. Different times, different era, different things that they used back in 1887, early 1900s, things like that versus today's standards. So there's a different cost when you're talking about age. Square footage, of course, when you're talking about an 1,100 square foot home versus a 3,500 square foot home, we price it accordingly. Crawl spaces make a difference if you're sitting on a concrete slab versus a crawl space. All these things play in a factor as far as what the cost of the home inspection is. So, if your friend, family member got a price for doing their inspection and their price was different than the one that you have, well, each house is different also. And so all those things play a part in what the cost is. And now, as far as when you're looking for a home inspection, I tell everyone the best thing to do is talk with a realtor. Reach out with your to your realtor. Your realtor has some referrals that they will have, referring inspectors that they've done business with in the past, and they understand this particular inspector versus this one, and they can recommend the better inspector for you. So what I tell you, ask realtors, family and friends who's had some experience with inspectors as well. When do you call out an inspection? What I tell you, the inspection, you call out the inspector right after your inspection, excuse me, you call out the inspector right after your offer on the home has been accepted. And once they've accepted your offer, you have 10 business days to get the home inspected and get the information back to the home seller so that they can make the necessary repairs. And with that, I will be wrapping up. Any questions? So anyone, I guess we'll be doing that at the end of this call.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. We definitely have some questions for you that we're going to get to when we conclude all the speakers, but there was a ton of very helpful and tremendous information. I learn something every time I listen to how their process goes. I pick up a different gem. So thank you very much for that, man. Definitely stick around because we're going to be asking you some more questions about that process. So with that information, we're going to pivot to our second speaker, and that would be Ms. Tina Adams. Tina is an accredited financial counselor and mortgage consultant with an emphasis in credit repair and management. She's been in the industry personal finance for 7 years, and she has a passion for helping home buyers move through the mortgage lending process with confidence and a peace of mind. And so with that, we're going to turn it over to Miss Tina to talk about the things you need in order to go and apply for a mortgage and how to get your credit and all those finances in shape. Miss Tina.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you, Al, for putting this wonderful seminar on. This is very much needed. Like you were saying earlier, that creating assets is very important in our community, and this is one of the best ways to do it, is to go ahead and purchase your home, and so that becomes an asset that you're able to make moves from. And so I'm going to be talking about the process of getting your mortgage loan started. And so, like Al was saying earlier, and that was amazing, Chris. I hope everybody was listening, because Chris is very thorough. He has done my inspections and he does an amazing job. So I just want to say that first and foremost, even before you put an offer on a home, you definitely want to call Chris. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But the first thing you want to do is find a mortgage lender. It's good to know who you want your real estate agent to be. But even when you go to that real estate agent, the real estate agent is going to send you to a mortgage lender. And the reason why is because you want to go ahead and get a pre-qualification letter that's going to tell your realtor where to go and what to do, because that pre-qualification letter is going to let them know what type of loan program you're going with, because there's several different loan programs. There's conventional, there's FHA, VA, rural development, and so on and so forth. So they want to know, even that tells them where to go and what they're going to be looking for as far as doing your negotiation and finding your home. The second thing they're going to need from that pre-qualification letter is how much you are approved for. So before they start looking for homes for you, they want to know what your price range and what your affordability is. So your mortgage lender, when they hand you that pre-qualification letter, that's giving you an indication of the max amount that you can borrow. Now, one thing about that max amount is it can be up to you as well. So you can tell your mortgage lender, hey, I don't want to go over $900 a month for a payment. So then they can fix your max amount to show the realtor how much you're willing to pay per month, or how much you are able to based on your budget. Because of course your realtor doesn't want to find something for you that you're going to be uncomfortable making payments to. But this is what you want to do, or know, going to a mortgage lender. Do you have 2 years of consistent work history? So you want to be able to show a consistent flow of income coming into your household for at least the last 2 years. And with that, it needs to be a career or occupation. It needs to stay consistent. So you don't want to go from being a plumber and now all of a sudden you're a mechanic. And so that's not consistent. So when the mortgage lender sees that, they're going to need an additional year in that. Say, for instance, yet last year you were a plumber. This year you went to being a mechanic. So they may ask you to go another year as a mechanic because you switched it up so much. However, you can switch jobs and still be in the same occupation. So that is a different thing. So if you go from being a mechanic at AutoZone and then you go and decide to work for a car dealership, you're still in the same occupation, so that those 2 years would count. And so you want to have a consistent 2 years of work history. Your credit score needs to be 620 or above. And that is to be able to take advantage of these pretty good interest rates out here. The closer to 700, the better. Now, there are some mortgage companies that take a 580, but you have to keep in mind that that is going to also cause your interest rate to be a little bit or a lot of bit higher than it would be with a higher credit score. And if you don't have a credit score, say for instance, you are a person that has been living without credit, you pay everything with cash, then there is a way that the mortgage lender may be able to get you approved through non-traditional credit. And non-traditional credit is if you have been paying your utilities on time, your rent on time, and different things like that, then they can build a credit score for you. And that'll be going through their manual underwriting. So when they go through manual underwriting, you may have to, a lot of times you're going to have to come to the table with your own down payment, because their down payment assistance programs that are out there right now through FHA, they don't accept manual underwriting. So please keep in mind that if you don't have a credit score and you're using non-traditional credit, that you may have to use your own money for down payment. DTI. This is one of the most important things. So some people think that, hey, as long as my credit score is good, I should be able to get approved, and that's not always the case. So we have to make sure that your income and covers the debt that you already have, plus the cost of the loan that you're getting ready to occur. So if your DTI is over 45%, that may be an indicator that you may be heading towards being overextended. So with the FHA loan, it can go up to 50%. So it just depends on what loan program you're going with, but whatever mortgage lender you're going with, they're going to pick the loan program that makes the most sense for you and your financial situation. But just keep in mind, if you have a lot of debt, you may have to, your mortgage lender may tell you that you have to pay some things down, but don't start paying on anything before your mortgage lender tells you to, because you may pay on the wrong debt and they come back and say, well, I didn't need you to pay that off. I would have rather you had taken that money and paid this off. So you want to make sure that you wait on the mortgage lender. If they tell you that your DTI is a little bit too high, they can usually tell you what's doing it. So if you're, say for instance, just for an example, if your car note is super high, but your credit score has risen since the last time you got that car note, you may be able to refinance, and now that payment is much lower, and then as a result, it will lower your DTI. So those are just the main three things: 2 years of consistent work history, your credit score, and your DTI. And so when you apply, you'll just have those things in your mind. A way to calculate the DTI is you take your total debt, everything that's reporting on your credit. Now, we're not talking about your light bill, water bill, groceries, and gas. We're talking about your credit cards, loans, and other things that might be reporting to your credit. You will total those things up, divide it by your gross income, and multiply it by 100, and that's going to give you your DTI. So you total your debt, divided by your gross income, multiplied by 100. That's going to give you your DTI. And so that is going to, let's say everything like that checks out. You're looking good. They're going to give you a pre-qualification letter, and it's going to tell the realtor where to go, what to do, how much you are approved for. Realtor has found a house. You guys have put an offer in. It has been accepted. That is when you come back to the mortgage lender and give them your contract. The mortgage lender can't do anything or move on the loan until they have an active contract. And after that contract, that's when they're going to start asking for the documents to prove what you told them on the front end. So if you told me you made $50,000 a year, that you work at the school, you're a teacher, or, all those things, we're just going to have to check your verification of employment. Now we're going to have to check, we need your paycheck stubs. We're going to check everything to make sure that everything checks out. And then that's basically loan processing. And after everything checks out, then that's when it moves on to the underwriter. The underwriter is what's going to make that final decision on whether that's a good risk or a bad risk. So each bank they want to give loans. But in order for the bank to make sure they don't lose out on a lot of money giving out loans, they have the underwriting department. Some people are afraid of the underwriting department. The underwriters, sometimes they're like the big bad wolves. But what they're trying to do is protect the bank. So what they're doing is just making sure that everything lines up with your loan. And if you have consistent work history, your credit score is good, and your DTI is good, usually the underwriting department is not going to be that tough. And so just work with your mortgage lender when they ask you for the documents that is being requested from the underwriters. You want to get those back to them in a timely manner. So there's been times where I've been waiting and waiting on someone to get me their paycheck stubs. And then they come back and say, hey, what's taking so long with the loan? I'm like, I'm still waiting on you. So you have to definitely operate and cooperate as fast as possible with your mortgage lender. And that's going to determine how long it takes. Are there any specific questions? Well, actually, I don't. We're going to wait to the end on that because there's a lot. One thing I was telling Al that I wanted to mention, okay, so Kenneth is going to be coming behind me about getting a real estate agent. And so I just wanted to say this, listen to what he's saying. You don't want to go into a deal without a real estate agent, because that realtor is going to be able to negotiate for you. They're going to be basically your attorney for you. For that, they're going to be fighting on your behalf to get you the best part of the deal. You're going to get a good deal. They're going to negotiate closing costs. They're going to make sure that you're being compensated as far as writing it into the contract. If there's anything wrong with the house, Kenneth will be working with an inspector such as Chris Perry to work all of this. They're working for you. So definitely do your due diligence and get a real estate agent to help you with your deal.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Tina. Always a blessing to get some gems from you. I'm just still here like taking notes because every time we've done these before, and every time I listen to you, I learn something different. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
appreciate that. No problem. You're welcome.
There's much more I could have said, but I wanted to make sure that we're rolling and we're right on time. So if anybody have any specific questions later, you can definitely ask.
Yeah, sure. And we're gonna give everybody a chance of you, Chris, and Kenneth, like to give out your guys' contact information. So anybody on the call, if they want to reach out to you guys individually, make sure that they have y'all's contact information. Yes, and so moving on to our featured guest of honor today, good friend of mine, Mr. Kenneth Baker. I've known Kenneth for years, going back to our church days. A really good friend of mine, but he's an even better realtor. Kenneth Baker, he's a realtor with the Caldwell Banker RPM Group, and he's going to talk to you guys about working with a realtor or a real estate agent and how to make the most of that relationship. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Kenneth Baker.
All right, thank you, Al. This is actually something that we were thinking about doing last year, doing some events like this, and then the pandemic hit and kind of stopped us in our tracks for a bit. Yeah. So I'm very appreciative that he decided to host this for us through Zoom. We got to really make sure we take advantage of this technology and use it to our benefit. Like Tina was saying, it's very, very important to have a realtor. Like she said, you don't want to go to court without a lawyer, and you definitely don't want to go into trying to purchase a home, especially making a lifetime investment at this price by yourself. So I'm just going to give a quick little overview on, what I do as a realtor, or what you should expect from a realtor. as your realtor, it's my job to make sure that I educate you about the market that you're potentially trying to buy into. A good realtor will know, what the houses are selling for in that market, if it's a seller's versus a buyer's market, and just really set you up with a good plan and strategy to make sure that you come out, you and your family come out, well taken care of. The realtor will make sure that they analyze your wants and needs. If you want a lot of land or a pool, depending on how many bedrooms, the square footage of a house that you want, your realtor will be able to help you, in deciding on what neighborhood you want to live in and the market value for that particular neighborhood. The realtor also coordinates the work with other professionals like Mr. Perry or a lender. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you don't really see or know about as a buyer or a first-time buyer that's goes on throughout the course of buying a home, and that's what your realtor is there to help you with. And what it boils down to, like I said in the beginning, your realtor is negotiating on your behalf. So I'm not saying it can't work, but making sure that you have a realtor that's that you're in agency with to represent you is very important, because at the end of the day, that seller's agent, they're doing everything that they can to get that seller the best deal that they can, and vice versa. Your agent should be working with you to get you the best deal that you can have. I can't stress enough, just kind of going back and piggybacking off of what Tina was saying, we got to make sure that we maintain that pre-approval. So no big purchases, no new credit or debit accounts, no changes of jobs, and make sure that if you have a down payment that you have to pay and you got a specific amount of money set to the side, we got to make sure that we protect that down payment. Even though, we know life happens, but do your best to not touch that money and to make sure that we can keep it for our down payment, because that can really kill the deal. Now I'm gonna go over just kind of some things that a buyer will look at versus what the agent will look at. When you coming in as a buyer, you're looking at you're looking for a house, you're looking at the layout of the house, the space, the size, location, as far as the commute to and from your job, what schools you want your kids to go into, and like features and amenities of the neighborhood, and as well as in the house, as far as having a pool, things like that. As a realtor, I'm looking at how the home compares in terms of size, layout, and value to other homes in the area. So we do comparable market analysis to make sure that what you're paying for is on par for what the price of those houses in that area. I'm also looking at the potential resale value. With this being your first home, one day you may want to upgrade. So we want to make sure that we get you in a house that has good potential resale value. That way you're not stuck with it for any longer than what you want to be in it. And then just going forward, as far as the inspection, once Chris does his inspection and he sends that report to you, I'm looking at that inspection and looking at big ticket items such as the roof, HVAC, any kind of major maintenance stuff, structural concerns, things like that, that we want to put in our contract to negotiate for the seller to fix. So you definitely want to make sure that you get a home inspection. I can't stress enough how important that inspection is for you to make sure that long term you're not being nickeled and dimed by this house that you bought without an inspection. Let's see. Okay, so when we go in and make an offer on a house, we want to make sure that offer reflects the market value of the home. And that kind of goes as far as the CMA that I'll do for you to make sure that we're pricing and offering what that house is really worth. One thing about today's market is very crazy right now with the pandemic and everything. The inventory is kind of low right now. So what problem we're running into is we have way more approved buyers than we actually have houses on the market. So when a house comes onto the market, All those buyers are flocking to see it, and they are putting some very, aggressive offers in on houses. We used to go to where, we would see a house, go see it, and maybe offer a little lower than what they're asking for, and then eventually be able to negotiate to that sweet spot to get a good deal on that house. That's not really the case right now. Sellers are getting asking price, and sometimes in a lot of cases over asking price, and with no kind of concessions as far as them paying your closing costs or doing any repairs. So we got to make sure that we come with a very strong offer whenever we do go and place an offer. Let's see. After we've got it under contract, like we said, Chris will come in and do his inspection, and then he'll send that report to you, and we'll kind of go over that inspection and look at the things that we want fixed. And we'll send that to the seller, and then they'll respond on what they will and won't fix. And then one thing I want to hit on, just pushing forward a little bit, because I know we're trying to keep this under time, but after you've bought the house, it's very important to protect your investment. You want to make sure that you're maintaining that home warranty. If you get a home warranty, you want to make sure you renew that. You make sure that you renew your termite policy, because that's really important. It's kind of, those things are kind of like car insurance. You never want that to lapse, because you end up paying more to get a new policy than you would if you kept that policy and maintained it. So just keep an eye on things as far as leaks, cracks in your home, kind of do monthly, quarterly, inspections of your home, and just really protect it, kind of like you would with your car when you take that to get it serviced. And I think that's about it as far as my portion of it. Like I said, my name is Kenneth Baker. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer your questions. But like I said, the most important thing is you want to get a realtor. And one thing that I did fail to mention in the beginning is, as a buyer's agent, you don't pay me any fees. That my fees, my commissions, that number has already been negotiated between the seller and the seller's agent. So that's what I'm paid out of. A lot of people think, well, hey, I got to pay these closing costs, I got to pay this and pay that, and then I got to turn around and pay this realtor. And that's not the case most of the time. You, like I said, my commission is already established, so you don't have, that's one less thing you have to worry about going through this process. And so if any of you are looking for an agent, or anybody looking for an agent, definitely send them my way. That's all I got, Al.
Sure, thank you, man. Thank you for that wealth of information, Kenneth. That's definitely a lot that we can build upon. And so we got about another 17 minutes here before we finally wrap up. And I do want to get to some questions and give everybody a chance to kind of get their contact information out there. And just so last, like I was saying at the beginning, in terms of how this all kind of fits into your overall your financial foundation, like I said, my job here as a financial advisor for my company, after you've gone through this process, a lot of times that's what we call those moments that are called money in motion. So a lot of my clients, after we have purchased a house, normally it's because somebody has gotten married or relocated, or there's been a downsizing because maybe kids have left, or a divorce, something like that. Whenever those moments happen that trigger buying instances, I always sit down with all of my clients, and we kind of recalibrate, look at what our new income and expenses are, how the home fits into that, make sure that, ideally, initially, we want to make sure they've gotten a good deal on a home and went in with at least like some kind of equity that we think, just so we want to always make sure that any assets that we acquire can always, either keep pace with or outpace inflation. So that's just a bit of how having a home kind of ties into this, because that is a wealth building tool. So just real quickly, I want to get to some a couple questions that I got via text and some of the private chat. So firstly, I'm going to be coming to Mr. Perry, to Chris. So one of the questions that I have is, how does the inspection affect the appraisal, or can it affect the appraisal at all if there's something found in the inspection? So can you just kind of give us some insight, Chris, on how an inspection can play a part with the appraisal, or if it has anything to do with each other?
Well, yes, it actually does. Of course, like when I come out, I'm looking for damage, things that do not function properly, installed properly, things that, you know, that have worn out, and that actually does affect like the property value. Of course, when the appraiser comes out, well, he's going to see that same bad roof that I saw. And of course, he's going to deduct the amount of the value of that home based off of his observation. Hey, he believes that the roof needs to be repaired. I mean, excuse me, replaced. So he's going to, you know, reduce that amount, $5,000-$8,000, depending on how much that roof costs. So yeah, we kind of coincide with each other when it comes to those type of things. But the one thing that the appraiser is not doing is he's not going in your attic. So he's not going to know as far as what the structure of your roof is. Do you have insulation in your attic? Do you have adequate insulation in your attic? And he's not crawling up under your house as well. So he's not going to know if you have any subflooring damage, any structure damage as far as the supports that are up under the house, plumbing vents, plumbing pipes, air conditioning vents, things like that. So he's not going to be aware of bringing the value down on the home based off of those things right there. So other than that, you know, like I said, the things that he sees, yes, he'll appraise the house, the value of the house based off of what he sees, but the appraiser doesn't actually see everything that the inspector sees.
Okay, perfect, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for that information. Lastly, Chris, you want to give your phone number or your email, or if people want to contact you, how can they follow up?
Yes, I said, once again, name of my company is I Inspect Home Inspection Services, and I can be reached at area code 501-960-4044. And my email address is perrychris12@gmail.com. And you can reach me on either one of those. And also, I just want to throw a little plug in here. I have written a book. I have written a guide to home inspections. And yes, that is me right there on the cover with the referee uniform on. I actually compared refereeing to doing home inspections. When I was working with my publisher, we came up with this idea and stuff that, hey, when I'm on the football field, I'm throwing penalty flags for infractions. And when I'm coming out to inspect your home, I'm throwing penalty flags for deficiencies that I find there at the home. So that's the reason why I came up with the book. And yes, you can get the book. It's on Kindle and Amazon.
Perfect. Thank you, man. We definitely encourage people to go out and pick that up. I think that might be the first of its kind. I don't know that I've ever had insight from an inspector in a book. So I mean, I think that's great. Congratulations on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
I appreciate you, and I'm working on my second edition now.
Okay, we'll definitely look out for that, man. And I encourage everybody to rush over to Amazon and Kindle and pick that up. And anyone you know in this process of need an inspector, be sure to get them in contact with Chris. So
Chris,
secondly,
can you say your phone number one more time, Chris?
It is area code 501-960-4044.
Okay.
Okay. And next, Tina, I have a question for you. It says, if I have a spouse with less than favorable credit, should I apply by myself? And can I use their income? Or what can I do to get my significant other's credit to where it needs to be?
That's amazing. That's a great question. Get that question all the time. So if your credit score meets the qualification, but their credit score doesn't, you kind of just want to ask yourself, is this an emergency? If it's more of an emergency, like you have to move out of your apartment at a certain time or whatever the case may be, and your income qualifies for the type of house you guys would want, then you would have to just use your income and credit. We wouldn't be able to use his income because his credit is not up to par. Now, if you have a little bit more time, you can definitely go through my program. I have a credit repair program that could have you ready within 4 to 6 months. If you could just hold off about 4 to 6 months, run him through the credit program, where the negative items are being removed through the disputing process, then you may be able to go ahead and use his income and credit later and get the house that you really want. So a lot of times the house that you really want you will need both spouses' income for. So you can definitely, if you can wait, I would say wait so that you can get a good interest rate and use both of your income.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a plan. And Tina, give out your contact information, email, phone number, or however you would.
Okay, and then I'll also type this in the chat, but my phone number is 870-678-3850. You can also reach me at mzcreditguru@gmail.com. That's Miss Credit Guru at gmail.com, and that's Tina Adams. But I'm going to type this in the chat as well. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So everyone who may have some sort of interest or questions about the credit process and getting approval, be sure to reach out to Miss Tina so that she can give you a little insight. And lastly, I have a question for Kenneth. Was actually two. So the first one is purchasing a new construction harder than purchasing a standing structure? And do I need a real estate agent for new construction?
That's a good question. You really, as far as new construction versus one that's already built, is really about the same. I think, Tina could tell you a little bit more about that as far as getting, lending approval, or as far as, getting approved to be able to do that. What was that? What was the second question? Yeah.
And the second one was a person that said, I was working with the realtor, but I'm not satisfied with the relationship. Am I obligated to continue working with them, or how can I get with a realtor who can better help?
You're definitely not obligated to work with them. You kind of run into legal obstacles, I would say, if you are under contract with them. If you signed a agency agreement with them, and you can get out of it, but I wouldn't just go to another agent without first getting out of that contract with them. And then if you are working with an agent and you want to go to a new agent and you reach out to a new agent, make sure that you tell that agent, hey, I've been working with such and such. I am or I'm not, under contract with them. And that way, they can help you with either getting out of that contract, or they can move forward with you and help you find your home. It's very important to make sure that you're with the agent that you're comfortable with and you're satisfied with. Because like I said, you're making a very big financial investment. And us as realtors, like I said, we're not paid by the buyer, but we are making a nice amount of money off of this deal. And at the very least, you should be getting a good, sound, professional agent that's representing you.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I'm just taking little notes here. Okay. Yeah, man. Oh, last Kenneth, you want to give out your email or social or contact information?
Yes. My phone number is 501-551-9578. Like I said, I'm with Coldwell Banker RPM Group. My email is kbaker@cbrpm.com. Feel free to reach out to me with questions, anything that you may have real estate related, just, contact me. I'm always willing to work.
Okay, perfect. So just lastly, before we get out of here, we're at 1:55. Like I said, hopefully you guys got a chance to get everybody's contact information with Chris and Tina and Kenneth. And a lot of people either come see me before they undertake this process, just to kind of see what we can put a down payment on, what kind of down payment can we afford, or things of that nature. And then afterwards, just to say, okay, now that we've made this purchase, Mr. Al, how are we looking? And so, like I said, I am the Vice President of Investment Services at Regions Bank. And what we mostly do here is financial planning and investment strategy with people. So, and real estate purchase and home ownership is a part of that. Whenever we're constructing somebody's portfolio, we always check to see kind of what their real estate holdings look like, and how that can be beneficial. And there's just certain things in terms of investments that you can use in the process of acquiring your first home. Like some people don't know, there are ways with your retirement plan at work where you can use some of those funds in certain situations for down payment on a property for your home if it's going to be your primary residence. So those are things we kind of work with them through in terms of how can they use their investments in terms of real estate, and how they qualify, things of that nature. So if you'd like to reach me, you can shoot me an email over to it's al.moore, al.moore@regions.com, or my work number is 870-974-5210. You can call me there, or shoot me an email, and I can correspond and reach back out to you. There's also some more messages in the chat that I will get to and respond to. If you put any of your information there too, we'll be sure to follow up. If you like one of us to follow up, just be sure while the chat is still open you can either private message whoever that you like to speak to, or just put in the group chat to have everybody reach out. And so with that being said, we're about 3 minutes under. I just want to thank everybody for attending today, taking time out of their Saturday to spend time with us. We definitely appreciate it. We'll definitely look to be doing more of these. We'll keep you guys posted on our socials about the next one coming up and what the topics will be. If there's anything specific you guys would like some information on, feel free to reach out via social or via email to say, I'd like to get some more information on this or have a panel about this. And we can try and put that together. And just so before we close out, Tina, Chris, or Kenneth, you guys have any last closing remarks?
I would just say get started. If you're looking at purchasing a home, don't wait. Sometimes when you don't know what to do, you don't do anything. Reach out to myself, Kenneth, Chris. We can definitely point you in the right directions of what to do. I am a consultant, so I am not mortgage lending. I'm a former mortgage lender. So I know how to help you package your loan, send to a mortgage lender. I have many friends in the mortgage lending industry. So based on your situation, I'll know who to send it to. And then, of course, we'll be getting you with Kenneth to get you a house. So don't hesitate to go ahead and get started.
Okay. Definitely. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. To echo that, definitely getting started. A lot of times getting started is the hardest thing. And a lot of times people think that it could be much more complicated, much more difficult than it is. So just know that there are people here to help you. Or if you know somebody who needs some help, we'd be glad to reach out and correspond with them. And so in closing, I want to wish everyone a happy and safe weekend. And thank you for coming on, and we will see you next time.